Hello everyone, this is Shashidhar on behalf of Edureka. Today in this webinar we are going to learn about Talend Open Studio. How does the Talend Open Studio GUI look like? What are the different windows available? What are the features available? And a short demo on how we can develop a simple job in Talend Open Studio. Right? So let's get in. So agenda for today's webinar is we'll get to know what is Talend Open Studio, what are the advantages of TOS, that is Talend Open Studio, how do I download the tool, how do I configure it, what are the setup required, how does the GUI look, how will I use them, and a short demo. So what is Talend Open Studio? Talend is an open source software integration platform, and also Talend is a company, that is it's a vendor. It sells this product, right? So Talend is a company whose product is named after the company, that is Talend, and there are wide varieties of products which are provided by this vendor. So Talend Open Studio is considered to be next generation leader in cloud and big data integration software. As you are aware, in the market, if you go and check which are the tools which will support cloud integration, big data integration in a very user friendly manner, the only answer you will get is Talend. So Talend offers a wide range of product, right? So it has enterprise edition, it has open source, it has data quality. We'll get to know about it. So this is all about understand. Talend is an ETL tool. It is available in both open source and enterprise version, and it is considered to be the next generation leader in cloud and big data integration. So Talend Open Studio, it's an open source project that's based on Eclipse RCP, right? So whatever we do now, people who are from Java background would understand more. For people who don't know Java, it's an IDE, Integrated Development Environment, Eclipse, wherein you will have all the APIs related to Java, and you use those functions, right? Suppose you want to do a substring, for example, a very general example. Then you simply use a program which is already defined in Java and say substring of the string which you want and say the starting index and the ending index, right? So there already you are getting a predefined API, right? And similar way in Talend, we have components where you can just drag and drop, and without any coding, just by configuring the components, you can achieve your solutions in ETL. So it provides an interactive and user-friendly graphical user interface. It is very psychologically designed. So you can just type in what functionality you want to get into your job, and you get the components listed over there. You can have a look at the description of the components, and it is very user-friendly. Self-learning is very easy. So that's how you can start exploring Talend. So in TOS, all you need to do is a simple drag and drop and connections. So go from one component to another component. Either you want to flow the data, you want to control the flow, and that is all you need to do. Drag and drop, connection, and control. So TOS acts as a code generator, right? Whenever you drag and drop any component in TOS, it is as good as dragging and dropping a bunch of code which does that work on behalf of you, taking all your configurations. So it converts all the underlying programs in Java at the backend, and the code generated at the backend is non-editable. So you'll have to do whatever you want to do in the design window in the component level itself, right? So Talend provides you a wide range of products, as I mentioned earlier. So Talend Open Studio offered by Talend, each one which serves a different purpose. I'll tell you why as well. So there is a data integration software, and there is a big data software, there is master data management, there is enterprise, service bus, and then data quality and business management process. For one example I would like to take is Talend Big Data is a superset which contains all the features in the Talend data integration plus the big data components. So if you download and install big data, it is as good as using both integration and big data. But when the vice versa is not, as you are aware, like it doesn't contain the big data components. So why do I simply download if all the big data related code or the components when I'm not working with a big data project, right? So for all the needs, they have provided you the different softwares, so you can download and use only those, right? So these are the different products which are provided by Talend. So what are the advantages of Talend Open Studio? So it is unified. Yes, as I told you, it is based on Eclipse. So if you want to do something which is not possible in ETL, say for example, you are getting mainframe file wherein one of the column over there is a binary. You can just pass that column value to a Java program, get it converted, get it back in your ETL and do it. You can integrate all Java related code or SQL related code over there. It is an unified platform for you. And there's no coding literally required. You will have to just configure the component until and unless the functionality which you are looking for is readily available in Talend standard components. Otherwise, you'll have to write the external routines. That's obviously there, which is beyond capability of ETL. Then you'll have to introduce your own coding for optimization purpose or for your separate need. Other than that, there is no coding required as such. You have to just configure the components. So isn't it easy? So real-time statistics, whenever you run the Talend Open Studio jobs, you'll be, on the job itself, upon the components, the flow will be displayed and the real-time statistics, which I'll be showing you in the demo. So how many rows have been passed from filter, whether it is right or wrong. So by looking at the real-time statistics itself, you can come to know whether your job is heading in the right direction or not. So that's a very important feature. And there is a massive scalability, so you can build your job. It gives you an executables in Java, Linux, and Windows environments. You can take that executables parallelly run in different servers, do your job parallelly, quickly, optimized way. And also inside the Talend you can have multiple sub jobs, run them in parallel, and there is massive scalability options in Talend. And of course, all your designs which you are doing is future proof. It is Java based, and the way the metadata is defined or it is used in Talend is very user friendly, which will make your jobs future proof, right? So these are the advantages of Talend Open Studio, and that's why it's powerful. So how do I download this tool? Whether it is freely available, should I pay, should I register? For all your questions, you can just log into talend.com and then you can go into download section and easily download all the free products, that is open source products, right? So I'll show you how. So before we do that, so how much system requirements do you need is a RAM of 8 GB or more, a processor which is i3 or more, a storage capacity of 20 GB or more. Of course, this requirement in today's date will always be available. The steps to download your Talend Open Studio is very simple. So go to www.talend.com and you can click on downloads or directly go into /downloads URL. So look for free Talend products. I'll be showing you as well. So this is how your welcome page looks like. So you can just go and click on downloads. Once you click on the download, you get all the free products listed here. From here, you can download data integration, which is TOS, or you can download big data, which is again, as I said, it is a superset. So if I download big data, it is as good as downloading both data integration plus big data components, right? So it's as simple as this. Just one click downloads, which will download as a zip file, which all the binaries, like it will have executables for Windows, it will have executables for your Linux, like that, okay? So once you download, you'll be getting a zip file. I'll be showing you in the demo how does that zip file look, and if you once you extract and double click on the exe which you want, that's it, the setup. The only prerequisite required is Java should be installed. Other than that, Java home should be configured. So only these two prerequisites are required. Other than that, installing Talend is not at all a overhead. So how does the TOS GUI look like? So this is how your TOS GUI look like, which will have a couple of windows which I'll be explaining you one by one. So let me show you now how the downloaded exe file or the zip file looks like, and after you extract, how does it look? So once you have downloaded the Talend Open Studio Big Data, so it would download a file like this, which is TOS BD. The latest version is 6.4.1. So this zip file will be downloaded once you download it. And then once you extract this zip file, you will have a folder similar to this, which will contain all the required folders for Talend Open Studio, and then all the required executables for different environments. So I'm using a Linux machine, so I have my Linux 64-bit executable over here. So I'll have to just double click on this to start my Talend Open Studio. Nothing to install, nothing to configure, no repository is required. It's just plug and play. So once your executable is launched, you'll get a welcome pop-up like this, where it tells you to choose a project or create a new project. So the highest level of hierarchy in Talend is project. Inside a project, you can develop a number of jobs. and for your different project needs, you can create different projects. For now, I come here, click on create new project, and I say today's webinar's topic, that is TOS demo, and then I just say create. So it just creates a project for me, and in the backend it would have created a folder for my project with all the required default folders populated. So that would be present in workspace folder where you have installed or extracted the Talend binaries. So if you go inside this, you can see a TOS demo that has been created just now, right? So inside this TOS demo, all default folders would have been already populated. So Talend project is one file you see right now. When I log into this project, I get into this project, all the required folders and files will be populated. So let's see how does it populate. So I'll just click on finish, and you can observe in background all the default folders are getting created, which are needed for your executions in your jobs, right? All the related things will be available over here. So if you look at the Talend features, they're all XML based. So all the files which will be background created files are XML based files, just for your information. So you can see now all the files have been created. Previously we had only one file before I logged into the project. So let's not only learn how the tool looks and how the tool works, but also understand for each action in the tool, what is the background action happening, what is happening in the background, how does it work. Then only we can optimally design a job when you get to know how actually it works in the background. So once your Talend Studio is launched, you'll get a welcome page like this. We can close this. And these are the different windows which are available in your Talend UOS, right? So all these are not activated yet. It will be activated only when you create a job. So before we create the job, let's go back to PPT and get to know descriptions about all these windows, right? So the main page of Talend GUI is like this, the main window interface from where you can manage all type of data integration process. So we'll have a repository window, the repository window where you will have business models. You can create ER diagrams over here, the job designs where you can create all your jobs, the context variables where you can store all your variables, code which you want to externally link to Talend, a Java code or something like that, and SQL templates which can be used in your ETL jobs, metadata for all the things which we use in Talend ETL, a documentation section wherein you can add the documents which are required to refer in your ETL jobs, and then recycle bin. So all these things comes under your repository, right? So that's what we see. So they can be divided into repository. All this main page can be divided into a repository section, and then a palette. Palette is a window which has all your components listed. They are grouped into their needs, like databases. Under databases, you'll have all the possible databases supported by Talend. In similar way, all the cloud related thing, BI related thing, data quality related thing, you'll be seeing in the demo. And design workspace, this is the place where I design my jobs. I drag and drop the components, I connect them, I control the flow. All of them happens in your design workspace. In the designer, we have one tab called designer wherein we can develop the job, and another tab is code. As we mentioned earlier, each drag and drop of a component is nothing but a background code will be generated. That code is visible in this section, but again, as I said, it is non-editable code. And then the configuration tabs. So the section where you see here are the configuration tabs, wherein we have job related configurations, context related configurations, component related configurations, and a configuration window for running the job, killing the job, or clearing the logs, debug run. All other features are available under run configuration tab, right? So basically all these four are the main windows of your TOS, right? And the menu bar where you can project related things like project level settings, project level preferences, all those stuffs will be available for you in the menu bar. And the toolbar wherein shortcuts for your running the job is available, searching the jobs, exporting the jobs, all those stuffs are available in your toolbar. Outline and view, code viewer and outline. So they are the sections wherein you can see a part of code. You can just select one component and that component related code will be available in output, wherein in this code window complete code of the job is available, right? Whenever there is an error in single component, so that component will be highlighted, that component has error. You can just click on that component and come to outline to check if there is any problem in your configurations, right? So together, all these things form your Talend TOS main page, right? So coming in detail, so repository collects all the technical items and displays them in a tree structure within, as I told you, yeah. So it's a central store. Like all the business models, job related things, everything will be available in repository sections. So there's also few buttons over here which will refresh your repository, and also you can filter out. So if you have a lot of jobs and configurations already done, if you want to search for particular project or particular metadata, you can search over here, right? So this is all about your repository window. So the major components in repository window is business models. As I said, so under this folder, all the business model present in the project are listed. Like, you can create your ER model. That's where it is very useful. And then under the job designs, you can design all your jobs. You can drag and drop your components, control them, yeah, connect them. So context, as I told you, so under this folder, all the contextual variables which can be reused in the various jobs can be created over the context. And code, again, as I told you, so under this folder, a library of holding the routines are available wherein reusable codes can be created over there. As I said, your Java code or SQL templates, right? So metadata in the other side, it is rather than using redundant informations everywhere, you can create once and use many times. Whether it can be structure of a file, it's a database connection, whatever it may be. So documentation, under this folder, all type of documents having any formats are gathered. By double clicking on the document, you can open it in the relevant application. And recycle bin, so as the name suggests, it has all your deleted jobs or documents in its place, and you can restore them if you want. So this is all about your repository window. So when you come to palette, as I said, it is all about your component listing. So it is docked at the top of the design workspace to help you to draw the model corresponding to your workflow needs. So depending on what job you're doing and which business model you're applying on it, you can drag and drop all the technical components, whatever you want to build in. So that is in your business models, whatever we saw previously, in that you can do that, okay? So TOS provides 900 built-in components. So all these 900 built-in components are available in your palette. And a point to mention is when you download a TOS and if you go and search for big data components over there, it will not be available. So you'll have to download the big data version of the Talend, and then the big data related components will be available. Otherwise, in simple TOS, that is Talend data integration, not Talend data integration for big data. In that, these components will not be available. So from Talend, you can easily drag and drop the required components and drop them into your workspace for your job, right? So in the designer workspace, as I told, so you can both business models and job designs can be laid out here. So designer tabs opens by default. So you can drag and drop your components and do your ETL design here. So code tab helps you to visualize the code and highlight the possible language errors. Whenever there is some error which you cannot get to know by direct component highlight, because inside component there will be a number of configurations you would have done. Which configuration exactly has the problem, we will not be able to quickly identify. So to quickly identify, you can come into code and that particular error line will be highlighted. So you can look at the error in the code, but then you'll have to correct them in the designer window itself. So that's all about your designer window. And the configuration windows are the major one. So now job window will contain all your information about the job. So including the name, version, created date, all those stuff. And then context, as I said, it is all about your variables, whether you define the variables over there or you dynamically populate them. This context holds the placeholders for your variables. And the component is very important. It is dynamic component. Whichever component you click on, that component's attributes or the configurations will be displayed here. So you'll have to configure them. So the run window, as I told you, it will let you run the job, kill the job, clear the logs, and run the job in the debug mode, all those stuff, right? And the GUI menu bar and toolbar, it's nothing but it's a project level configurations. The menu bar contains some standard functionalities like save, print, etc. And the toolbar contains icons which quick access, like run the job or import the job, search the job or something like that, as I mentioned. So outline view and code viewer. So this outline, you will have all the components listed over there along with the standard variables which are available for it. So in the code viewer, that component, so both the tabs provide information regarding the display diagram, like whatever you click on your designer window, that related information will be visible here, right? So let's go into the Talend Open Studio and let me show you all these things whichever we have seen now in the PPT practically, and we'll create a simple job, right? So let's take a use case. I'll explain you a use case and then we will come up with an ETL job for that. Okay. As I told you before, you have not created any job in your Talend Open Studio. All these windows will not have any data or they'll be in deactivated state. So let me create a job. So to create a job, as you already know, where does the job design come under? It come under repository. So under repository, under job designs, I would right click and then say create job, and I will give a meaningful name as per the standards. So let me name it as job 1 TOS demo. Purpose is demo. Description is also demo. And if I want to choose the version, I can choose it. Author will be automatically populated. This is the author which we give in the first window wherein we can provide the author email. And then if you want to give the status, you can give it, that is development, testing, or production. And then if you want to select the path where you want to store this in the workspace as well, you have to give. So these are all optional. Only mandatory thing is the name, and purpose and descriptions are also optional, but then it will pop up a warning if you are not giving those values, and that is warning in the pop-up level only, not in the job, right? So let's say finish. Once I finish, so I'll get a job listed over here and all my windows will be activated for that job. So now we can see all the windows are activated. So a job has been created. So this is the palette window wherein you can find all the related components over here. You can come under database and choose whichever database you want, and that database related components will be available. Say for example, if I'm using MySQL, I'll have all MySQL related components. So these are your configuration windows as you've seen in the PPT, and this is your outline and code window which are empty right now. Whenever I drag and drop a component, then by clicking on that component, these windows will be activated, right? So before we start a job, so let's get into the case study. What is that I want as a solution in this job? Say suppose I have two files. I'll show you those. So something called as EMP details 1. I'll open this file. So I have an EMP detail Excel wherein I have ID, first name, last name, and date of joining of all the employees of a company. Say for example, okay. ID, first name, name, and date of joining. And I have another Excel wherein the next level details of the employees. Say for example, employee ID, who is that employee, and what is his city and state. So I have them in a different Excel. It's similar to our employee department design in database, wherein we'll have employee details in employee table and we have department details in department table. A similar use case wherein I have in one Excel I have all the employee details, another Excel I have the city and state details, right? So I'll have to create a master data out of it wherein I'll have even the city and state information along with all the EMP informations in the other Excel. So that is my use case. So for this use case, I am reading the data from Excel, but then I want my output in my database. So the master data which I create, this will go to a database, say for example, MySQL database. And then also I want it in a reusable way. So suppose tomorrow my database IP changes, username password changes. I should not go into the job and change it. So I will have to design an optimal ETL job for that, right? And also once master data is loaded into the table, I also want another Excel with the same data which has gone into the database just for emailing purpose or something which we can tell today is so many employees have been loaded or something like that, right? So let's have this use case in mind and let's start developing this job. So in Talend, in a standard way of developing, so we go with the connections first, which all connections we need. We'll finish that connections or we'll establish that connection in the very beginning of the job. So there's a component called T pre-job. The functionality of this job is it's an independent component. Whatever happens, whenever I execute this job, the first component which executes is this job, T pre-job. That is why it is called pre-job. So whatever components I attach to pre-job will be executed first. So what usually we do is all the connections required, all the global variable setting, all the time settings, timestamp capturing, all those stuff, we can attach it to pre-job. So beginning of any of the loggings you want to do, the job started at this time with all these configurations. So you can all do that with attaching the components to the pre-job. So now in my use case, I'm using Excel as my input and MySQL DB as my output. So MySQL DB needs a connection. So let me create MySQL connection here. So before I move into the component over there, I told you like maybe tomorrow my IP may change, username, password may change. So whenever there is change expected, we'll directly go into metadata, which is under repository, and we'll create a metadata for it. So when I'm using the database connection in the 5 jobs and there is a change in database connection, then I'll have to go back to 5 jobs and change it. But then when I'm doing it in metadata, I'll have to just come in metadata and change it in the metadata. It will reflect in all the jobs where it is referred. So I'll come to metadata DB connections. I'll right click and I'll say create connection. And I come here and name it as metadata for MySQL. Then I say next. I'll choose what is the DB for which I'm creating the metadata. I'm using MySQL. So for MySQL, let me log in as root. And since it is on localhost, I don't have to provide a password. Server is my localhost. And before I provide the database name, let me go and create new database for my use case. So I will tell MySQL with root user and I say create database employee and I say use employee. So database I have created. So let me come and provide that database name as here in this connection. So I'll just check this connection and my connection is successful. I'll just say finish. And now my metadata for MySQL is already created. I can either drag and drop this metadata or I can either drag and drop a component from here. So we have created the metadata for MySQL. So let me choose MySQL connection from palette. I'll say MySQL connection. So under MySQL, the MySQL connection component is available. I'll just drag and drop it. So from pre-job, I'll just say trigger, that is when the component is successfully executed. So this is the first component which will execute. And if there is no problem, come and create my MySQL connection. So that's what it means, right? So now we have established the MySQL connection. And the next thing is I'll have to read 2 files as I showed you, 2 Excel files. So let me create metadata for them quickly. So it is similar way of how I created for my database. So I'll just say metadata emp_1 for the first file. So I'll just provide the file name, which is emp details 1, and then you can read it in the 2007 format, and it is in sheet 1. It has read the data and it is giving me a preview over here. So I'll just say next. So since the first row is header, I'll just click on set heading row as column. So it will automatically make my header 1. And then if you want to see the preview, you can see the preview again here. And in the next step, it will be populating all the columns with, it predicts the data type of those columns. So I can review it. If it is right, I can continue. If it's not, I can change the data types if I wish to. So it has created the metadata for me. So I'll review it in the next step. I'll see whether all the data types are proper or if there is anything which I have to remove, all the stuff. So it has recognized ID, first name, last name, date of joining, and it has identified an empty column as well. So I'll just remove it, or you can, yeah. So my metadata is ready. I'll say finish. Similarly, I'll create a second metadata for my another Excel file, that is emp2. So I'll quickly give the file name, which is emp details 2, and then I say the sheet 1, read Excel, and then I say the heading row as column name, say next. So since there are some empty columns in the input file, it is trying to read the other columns, which is quite obvious in, whenever the customers provide the file, we'll have all these problems. So we can neglect those, ignore those, and we can take the metadata for only which we need. So now I have created metadata for both of the Excel. So my intention is to join these two Excel, perform join on the data which is provided in the Excel. So I'll drag and drop both of them into my work area. So I'll just say which component I'll have to use on this metadata. Since it is an input Excel, I use it as input Excel, and similarly for EMP2, I use it as an input Excel. So now I can arrange them in the right way. I'll have to join them to get the data from two of this, okay? And there's a component called tmap, which is a multi-purpose component. It can join, it can apply filters, it can work on your each column business rules. So what I'll do, I'll take the data from my first Excel component. So using the row type main, which carries the data, and I'll provide it to tmap, and I'm using as a lookup the second Excel. So I'll provide the main data of the second component to tmap, but then here it is main, but the second component which I connect to tmap will become lookup, right? So I'll have to join them, and what is the key required for joining is ID. I'll just drag and drop it. So on ID, I'm joining these two. The output I require is the master data, that is with city and country detail. So I'll just select all the columns from my main table, and I simply drag and drop to my output. And now the joined output, that is city and state, I'll drag and drop from the second lookup. So city and state are from lookup. So that's all I have to do. And then the output which I'm getting, I'll have to put it for a MySQL table, right? So what is a component for it? I'll just search with MySQL. So it is an output which I'm trying to do, right? MySQL output. So I have a component, MySQL output, inserts or updates to MySQL table, right? But then I have not created any table as such. I have created only a database. But then Talend provides me an option to create as well if it is not existing. So let's see those configurations. So now I'll get into this MySQL component. Since I've already have a metadata created MySQL connection, I don't have to give all this information which I've already provided. I'll just click on use an existing connection wherein all host name details, everything will vanish off. So it will take it from the which connection? TMySQL connection which I have created here. So table name, I'll just say it as EMP master. And what is the action on the table I have to do is create table if does not exist. First check whether the table is there. If not, it can create it. What is the action on the data? It is insert. And if you can see the schema, which columns I have to create, I can just take it from the tmap, which has already synced. So these are the columns which are going into my table. So I don't have to create a schema as well. It is automatically taken care. So by this, I can join my two employee details Excels, and the output of the join is redirected to a table in MySQL wherein I'm creating the table and inserting the table without doing any create statements or something like that. So it is all handled by Talend. And also I told I can get the same output in the Excel as well. So T file Excel output. I can also write this same output which goes into database for some email purpose or whatever the use case may be. For that I can write the same output in Excel as well. So I can just tell in Excel format, and I can give a folder, say inside Edureka demo output, and I can give a file name here, master emp dot xlsx, right? And the sheet name can be emp details. You can include the header, and all others are the default things, okay? And the schema would be again propagated automatically. So I'll have the header also and the output created, right? And now this will serve my use case which I had thought of. But then once my use case is completed, I'll have to close this connection, right? And also there is another component called T post job, similar to T pre job, whereas this is the first component which executes in the job, and this will be the last component which executes in the job. So I can just close all my connections, delete some temp files, all the stuff in the T post job. So I can tell T MySQL close connection, and I can choose which connection I have to close. That is MySQL connection which was opened in the first step, and then I'll tell at the end you disconnect. So this completes my job. Now let's go into run configuration window and run this job. So I'll choose the run component window and I'll just say run. So you can see the real-time statistics in the job. Say for example, the first component which will be executed, you find an OK symbol on it, it is completed, and the lookup loads first. So this is starting, and then after that, the main loads, and then it loads into the job, right? So now our job is successfully completed with all the rows in the table and as well as in the Excel, and also the connection has been closed. So let's log into the database and check whether I have the data output over there. So I'll just say select star from what are the table name we have given is master EMP master. So let me check on that. So there is no data created. I think we'll have to commit the data. So let's go back, use the commit. I can also use commit before I close a session. So I can just tell MySQL commit and then close. So after commit, I can close the connection. So let's select star from, or let's use the same query. And now you can see the data has been populated using the city and country values as well. So let's also go to the Excel which we have tried to create in demo output and open this Excel. So even that should have the data along with the header, so which is also available. So this is how we can create a simple job in Talend. Thank you for watching this webinar. Hope you liked it. Please follow us on YouTube. Thank you.
I hope you have enjoyed listening to this video. Please be kind enough to like it, and you can comment any of your doubts and queries, and we will reply them at the earliest. Do look out for more videos in our playlist and subscribe to Edureka channel to learn more. Happy learning!